Okay, let's take a look at this project. This has got, of course, the deep red down in here and some dark rich color. It's also got all this metal work here. And there seems to be two colors to the metal. Some of it is black and some of it is, I don't know, something else that's lighter. And has also picked up a lot of the background color. So it's kind of muted. Parts of it seem kind of lost in here. I don't even know if that grill work is all in there or if it's, and you can't see it, or if it's, you know, gone away, because this is pretty antique. I think it's just lost, but it doesn't really matter. That gives us some lost areas, which is very nice. Okay, and we're going to create that effect later on. And then we've got all this, I keep wanting to call it grill work. That's probably the wrong word. But we've got all this. And down here, we've got a lot of verticals and areas that are very, very black. One of the problems with this is also a very pixelated photo, which I stole off the internet. Well, I didn't steal it. I mean, it's out there for the taking, I guess. Yeah, I didn't really steal it. Okay. So, we've got this, I guess it's plaster. And it's very textured and aged, extremely aged. It's an antique building. That's what it is. So, we're going to try to recreate that some. So, here's how I've started this out. I masked the lighter areas of that metalwork here. And I tried to just cover the traced lines. Hopefully most of that will come up when the masking comes up. I would recommend not tracing this very heavily. Don't put a lot of pressure down. I did, and I think I'm going to have trouble getting it all up. So light here, and it doesn't matter in here, because what you're going to do is you're going to come back and use your Sharpie. Okay, this is a, you know, one of those with the fine point. I guess that's what it calls itself. I don't know. I covered it up with my marker, with my tape. Okay, so that's the prep on this. And I didn't bother to do it, you know, in the video because you didn't need me to. So our first step then is to start putting in some of this plaster, which is, it's a bitch. Okay, how are we going to do that? Well, I've done some experimenting. Got some different things here. Oh, that's not the last one. Here's the last one I did. Still damp. I think this begins to approximate that look. And that's because there is some white ink mixed into this and some grays. If I just used pure watercolor, it's just much too bright. Okay, and then you can see when we do our darks and our reds, where we'll do that watercolor style, and it'll stand out next to this and glow. So, that was the brilliant plan. Okay, let's see what happens here. I have mixed, let me show you what I mixed, because this is a little more complicated than usual. So I have some color here. If I stir it up, you can see it looks like it's got a little bit of opacity to it. It looks a little bit milky. And guess what? So does this one's got a lot. Okay, so let me mix some more in it to show you what I used. I used cobalt teal. Woo! And I used some of the quinacridone lilac. You could use quin rose if you don't have lilac. Not as much of that because it's pretty strong stuff. And I got kind of a mauve gray. In fact, That might be really good just like that. But I did cut it with just a tiny bit of yellow. In fact, I used a little bit of Quinn Gold. Not too much. And this is what I got. Now into that mixture, I'm going to add a little bit of white ink. I don't want too much in this one. I want this one to be a little darker. Like that. Uh-oh, too much, too much. Oh, shoot. Okay, now I got to mix some more color. Why wasn't there someone here to tell me not to do that? Okay. Well, let's just put a little more color in it. So here we go. Here's our cobalt teal. And a little bit of lilac. Ooh. I want to be careful that I don't get on the pink side with this. And I almost did. I think I'll put just a little bit more teal in there. Well, maybe that wasn't enough. And here's the thing, you don't have to get it just like mine. We're looking for a gray, and we're looking for it to be softened with some white. I could have even used, no, I'm going to stick with the gold. Stick with the gold. Don't change things now, Anne. Okay, there. That's kind of a greeny gray. Now over here, I want Quinn Gold. Let's mix up a lot of it. Okay, I want Quinn Gold. And I want some white in that. And then that's not going to be enough. That's not going to make me happy. And here I want quite a bit of white. And I would like just a touch of a gray. And you could use any gray you wanted, but it just so happens that I've got some gray over here. A little gray. Let's see, test it out. Yeah, see it has that milky look. Okay, and it's just thick enough, see it can float down the paper. It's sort of a medium wash. That is, it has some water in it, but it's still got quite a bit of body to it. Now, part of the reason it's got body to it is that white ink makes a difference, too. And then if I drop some of, like I have to keep mixing this gray up. If I drop a little of that in, woo! And I don't want that everywhere. And it can almost look like stuff running down the side of that building, because that building looks like it's got, you know, water stains and drips from over the years. Something along those lines. And I keep getting it off of camera, don't I? Something along those lines for our first wash. It's not exactly a wash. It's a, I don't know what it is. Okay, so here we go. And you might want this propped up just a little bit because we want that look of something running down. Okay, so let's start with this. And we could start up here. And you know we have some different things going on, but this will be our base coat. And I'm going around this for now, even though we're going to use some of the same colors in it. So here we go. Here, this is a little drop of gray, and apply enough that it's kind of, you know, there should be enough application there that it's a little bit runny. 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 It's a lit You don't want it to go on too dry. And this, well, I guess I'll paint around this too. Just painting around them and painting them at a separate time, even if you paint them with almost the same color, and it's going to be almost, it's not going to be the same color, kind of has an effect. You know what? I think we will go ahead, though, and put this in. Let's stir up. I got to stir up my gray because it has a mind of its own. Whoops, forgot and went over that. I always forget that stuff. Here's the edge of the building. Somehow this doesn't look as pretty to me as my original. They never do. Once I get on camera, it all goes south. And let's keep this moving before it dries. So this has got a little bit of opacity to it. It's still, we're applying it very thinly, so it's still like watercolor, and it really doesn't have that much white in it. It's far from being an opaque paint, but see, it's got some of its brightness cut by the white. Okay, stir my gray up. Okay. Oops, forgot again. It's gonna go around that. Well, I just barely mixed up enough color. You're gonna apply this very liberally, so you want to be sure. Just mix up more color than you need, because actually you're gonna use more of it still than what we have right here. And I just barely had enough mixed up. It's a good thing that I screwed up on my mixing, so I had to keep adding to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had enough because I misjudged. Don't be like me. Be better than me. Stir up my gray again, because it just keeps falling apart. So is that showing on? Okay. If this turns out to be too bright, and I have a feeling it will be, and that some areas will be too dark, I'm going to fix that with more white. And maybe with some other grays. I wonder here, over here, where that's just partway dry. See, the runs here don't even look quite, ooh, look at that. See, it started to dry over here, but it's not. Look at that. Doesn't that look like something on an old building? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that looks cool, okay? So I'm going to wait for this to dry some so I can do the same thing to it. So there's not much demo in this part other than that this is between getting this, all the detail work done here. Please note, I don't know if I mentioned this, this grill work in here is very imprecise. I couldn't see it very well, and I kind of made stuff up, and I didn't get it quite right. It's not quite right in the picture either. And then, on top of that, as I applied my masking, although I did it with a fine little brush, I made a point not to be perfect and to have some little skips and openings and things in there, because that's really going to give it part of the antique look, I think. I don't actually know that, do I? Ooh, look what this has done. Too. Some of that mixture is separated out. That's that cobalt teal, has a kind of a tendency to, look at that, separate out this mixture. So I got to stir the mixture up again. I think this might be a little too wet yet. Let's see. Yeah, this looks a little too ochre and stuff. It's definitely going to need some work. It's beginning to kind of do that thing, though. Okay, so this is the easy video because all I do is I hold it and you watch the paint run down. Oh, that is cool, those shapes that makes. I really like that. I'm going to wind up having to make some changes on this, and I'm going to hate covering some of that up because that's really pretty cool. I don't have to worry about running where it doesn't belong because it'll adhere to, it'll stay in the wet areas. Oh, we'll just put some more over here just because we're having fun. Okay. This is maybe still a little too wet. Let's see. See, if it runs real fast, then you know it's too wet. And it won't make that great edge like we're getting here. Well, it seems to be doing all right. This paint kind of has a mind of its own. Okay, so that's going to give us some of that age stuff. This color in here is too strong of an ochre. I needed more white in it. So we're going to paint over that with some white. This is the beginning. By the time you get all this stuff done and do this, well, that's gonna occupy one class time. So I'm not gonna stop right here. I'm gonna take a break and let this dry. That's what I'm gonna do. Well, I'm right back. I didn't even dry it. I decided that it just wasn't cutting it at all. As it started drying, I got unhappier and unhappier. It needs to be lighter. It needs to be milkier. So here I go. I've got my white ink. It's a little bit juicy there on top. And I am, change your brush stroke, the amount that's in your brush. Don't do an even coat. Don't do anything even on this. This poor building has never been even. Okay, something like that. That side's darker. I kind of left that. You can see I put some in over here. Whoa. Whoops. I'm going to keep it out of the really dark. The places are going to be really dark. And we have to compensate with our reds that they don't, where we get orangey. We want to be sure that we compensate and have enough yellow in it that it doesn't turn pink. So this should vary. See that? That's looking pretty good. The only thing about it being that it's going to dry darker, and I don't know how it's going to be. So I didn't even let mine get all the way dry. You could, though. I think it would be just fine if it dried first. But I got kind of fed up and couldn't wait. So this is taking a lot of those neat drippy things out of it. Has a little more of the look that I had in mind, though. Okay, we'll wait and see how that dries. But odds are from here we can begin more of the painting. And it needs to be uneven. Now we're still going to go back and put the two shades. You know, here we've got all kinds of darker things going on and lighter things and richer things with warmer tones. So we're going to have to play with that and see what we can work out. I'm going to call that the end of the first video. So, going to have something like this. I didn't put the extra white over here or in there. You know what? Before I end it, we could put a little bit of this flooring stuff in. And guess what it looks like? It looks like this mixture. Remember this mixture, the one you have to keep stirring up that has the teal, cobalt teal in it? If we just put some more cobalt teal back in there, That looks a little bit like that flooring, which is a real nice contrast with the other colors that are going to be in here. So, as it goes back in here, it just gets super dark, but you can see the flooring going way back that way. So we're going to put the flooring in here. Way back to wherever that we can't see. And past that, it doesn't matter because it's going to get so dark on top of that, we're really not going to be able to find it. You know, that's just got too much yellow in it. Let's put a little, I'm getting just a little dab of cobalt teal. I'm just going to throw it in here. In this forward area, I don't care what's back there. Oop. Okay, there we go. There's some nice color. Just got a little bit of that grade weird stuff in with it. All right, there we go. That's pretty good. I like that. Okay, and what I'm going to do, because we can't see the edge back there or what's going on, I'm just going to soften this edge. Doesn't really matter whether you soften it, but I thought I would. Okay. There. So you can see up in here, there's more of those greens. What if I put just a little more cobalt teal? Let's just drop a little into a spot or two. See what happens. See, what's happening here is that I'm not just demonstrating, I'm actually doing a painting because my brain's going, okay, my brain is liking this. So, okay, a little more. I'm just using pure cobalt teal. And it's almost right, like it would come right out of the tube. Well, it's thinned out a little bit. Oh, that's like out of the tube. Okay, let's add some water to it. You know, this other color's not even dry. This is working right into the white. Now, what we don't want to do is overdo this. There is more bits of it down in here, and the thing is that we can also be adding that later. But this is fun. When you're having fun, it's hard to stop when you should sometimes. Okay, so you see how I'm going about. I might leave some hard edges. Most of this is very soft edged, though. All right, now, I promise this time, this is the end of video 1 on, I don't know, what do we call this? Oh, dear. Someone text me and tell me what to call this.